how are you doing? Good evening. This is 8 till late live from youtube.com/Wi-Fi sheep with me, Tom. How are you doing? Great to have your company this evening. Quite a lot to talk about, and I can feel my throat's going already. 1 minute. That's a good start. I'm only, what am I? I'm 2 minutes. I'm 2 minutes late to air. That's much better than the 20 minutes it was when we tried this a few weeks ago. Anyway, how are you doing? Great to have your company. Fair bit to get through tonight, or I'd like to try and do tonight. Mainly we're going to be focusing back on our Tiny Basic Computers prototype build project, which has been the running theme for these live stream sessions. If you want to chime in on the chat, please feel free to. You do need to be a subscriber to the channel in order to do that. Not a member or anything, just a subscriber. And you can chime in on the chat. Doesn't necessarily have to be about anything we're directly doing here actually on the live stream, but if there's anything else you want to chime in on, or I suppose if I've got time, ask questions on any of the other sort of subjects or tech stuff we've been doing, more than happy to try and help out. And just interested to hear kind of, what the general discord is. I mean, last week, for example, we were talking about cars. We went massively off track talking about cars. That problem with my car is still there, by the way. I've just not had time to deal with it. But yeah, if you've been following social media the past, well, where are we now? 12 hours, if so? Yeah, roughly throughout today. You'll probably know that I've been retweeting about a few things that we're going to talk about in a minute. I've actually got some official confirmation on some stuff that I kind of blurted out last week on the live stream. So yeah, lots to look forward to, lots to hear coming up on 8 till late from Wi-Fi Sheep. But first, do you have a need for reliable and cost-effective web hosting for your blog, business or personal website? If so, then look no further than Cheap Host UK. Cheap Host UK's basic plan starts from only 58 pence per month. That's £6.99 a year. And if you're needing a little bit more, Cheap Host UK's premium packages start from £1.41 per month or £16.99 a year, complete with a free .co.uk domain. New customers can also take advantage of an extra 10% discount when purchasing any first-time hosting package or domain name from Cheap Host UK. Use discount code SHEEP, that's SHEEP, to get an extra 10% off. For reliable, cost-effective web hosting and domains, look no further than Cheap Host UK. Full details and an affiliate link are in the description to this video. Yep, so 10% off new domain and web hosting packages bought through Cheap Host UK, our sponsor here on 8 till 8 from Wi-Fi Sheep. Just use discount code SHEEP, SHEEP. Details and links are in the description to this video. Right, yeah, I've had a busy week actually, almost starting the Sunday after we did the live stream last week. I was on a call with Lee, who I'm going to say hello to Lee. Very interesting stuff going on there that I may touch on later on. Last night I was on a BBS bulletin board, which I was invited to go and have a look at, and there's some cool stuff on there which I'm going to show you a few bits I screenshotted. We'll talk about that briefly. But first, let's talk about the Risk OS Midland or Mug Christmas Market show or exhibition. Now, I think I do need to be a bit careful how I phrase this, because it's a public-facing computer event that you can go to for free, by the way. There's no entrance fee for it. It's called a Christmas Market because it might not be what you'd expect from a full-blown computer exhibition or show, but I still think it's going to be well worth visiting and very good. But just to cover their backs, the organisers, that's the Midland User Group, Risk OS Midland User Group, they're calling it a Christmas market. So it won't have all the trappings and trimmings of like a full-blown computer show, but it's still going to be a huge amount of fun. So it's confirmed for happening on December the 9th in a place called, is it Witchbold? Witchbold, which is a little village in the sort of southwest of central Midlands, so kind of in the Birmingham area, just off the M5 motorway. It's between Bromsgrove and Dwightwich Spa. And let's have a look if I've got the... where is it? Let's have a quick look. There we go. Yeah, so this was the material that dropped today. And this is the Mug RiskOS Xmas Market. As you can see, the 9th of December between 11:30 in the morning and 4 p.m. That will be at that point GMT. Summer by December, I think summer will be well and truly over. Dodder Hill Parish Community Hall, Witchbold, and you can see it's WR97PU. It's free to enter. The details, now I was going to put the link in the description to the video. It will be there if you're watching this back. If you're watching me right now live, I forgot to put it in. So apologies for that. You can go over to mug.riskos.org, and from there you can click through to a very nice looking website. Let's if I can bring it up. Here we are. It's very red. I think it's fair to say. Yeah, let's just have a quick browse of that. Let's go back to the main. So this is the official website for the event. Excuse me, I'm just slurping tea. So the full details are there. Free to enter, no entrance fee. And of course, sponsored by SoftRock Software and Riskosity, who've been very kindly sponsoring that event. So that's how it's free for you to go to. Let's look at the exhibitors, which is the page we joined, or you just saw as we joined this. So here is the confirmed exhibitors so far. You have got trade support in the form of riskwestbits.co.uk. And here you've got Wi-Fi Sheep. That's my old address. That does still work. Yeah. So I'm actually going to be there all day. I'm going to have a table and a stand. There's a news, yeah, and there are some banners and things that you can get or download as well. Yeah, so you just need to go to mug.riskos.org, and you can follow that from there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Considering I'm not going to be doing the Cambridge Retro Computer Festival this year, this will be probably the last show or outing I'm going to be seen at this year. I think it's going to be a more quieter, casual event, which will be nice. It'll be nice to kind of not be so hectic, hopefully. So if you're a fan of quieter shows or events, then I think this one might be for you. Obviously, it's a RiskOS event, so it has a Acorn RiskOS slant to it. However, even if you're not particularly interested in those sort of computers or platforms, you know, still come along. It is still a free computer show happening in the Midlands, you know, in a place that's not... it's in a village. It's very easy to get to. It's not in a city centre or anything. Just literally hop off the M5 motorway and you're 2 minutes off the junction and you're in this little village hall. Parking, there is reasonable parking, and if the site does for whatever reason get full, there's ample parking down the road. It's not a problem as such, but I honestly don't think we'll be getting huge amounts of people through. However, I personally would be great, I'll start that sentence again. I personally think it would be great if you would consider coming. It would be great to see you. That kind of made more sense, but you know what I mean. I'm twisting my words up here, but yeah. Oh dear. So I'm planning of bringing the Project Rio build, which is just off camera up here that you've been seeing me do here on the live stream. Got a few other ideas, a few things we might bring along as well. I'm thinking it might be such a kind of casual event that I might put chairs on the front of my table. So I'm going to have a table, I'll be one side of it, and I'm going to put chairs the other so visitors can actually come sit down, have a chat with me. I think we're going to have time to have a chat and go and play with the computers and things that I've actually got, you know, running, and you know, I can hopefully go through sort of detail and show people things. I just think it's great. It's free, in all honesty. It's a nice run up to Christmas, being the 9th of December. It's not too late in December, so hopefully the weather will be. I mean, it'll be winter, obviously, but hopefully it'll be all right to get to. It won't get snowed off or anything. So yeah, details for that will be in the description to the video, and you can go to mug.riscos. What did I say? Mug.riscos.org, I think it is. Yes, that's what I said. I know what I said. In the chat, where are we? I'm not going to pronounce this. Coral Tavi, something like that. Keep dropping in on your Rio project build now and again. Nice to see you moving along. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, well, we will be moving along shortly. Tonight we're going to look at power supplies, because we had issues last time. If you remember, we were trying it with a 9-volt power supply. I have to admit, I have managed to crash on air roughly on time tonight, but everything is kind of in the wrong place. So I'm going to have to go and dive off camera left, right and centre to grab bits so we can do the build project. But that's all right. It's a very casual live stream tonight, so I'm sure you can forgive me if I'm sort of go crashing that way to go and find something. I'm sure it'll be fine. Right, just trying to think off the top of my head what else. So yeah, we've done the show. Do come and say hi. I will say, if you're more than 2 hours away from Droitwich, West Midlands, it might not be worth coming. I don't know. It's not a full-blown computer show, but it will be. I think it's about 10 exhibitors and trade support as well. So it's hopefully it'll be a nicely attended show. Up to you. Just obviously understand it's a market event, not a full computer show, and I think that's all I can say on that. What I will say is, if you do come and say hello. Right, this has happened to me when I first started exhibiting, which was 5 years ago, 6 years ago with computing. No one knew who I was, right? So people would see what I was doing, they'd come up and they'd talk to me, and there was no problem. As soon as the subscribers started building on YouTube and people kind of, I suppose, roughly began to know who I was and what have you, people stopped talking to me. They stopped coming up to me. And what would then happen is I'd get home after a show and people would then like email me or drop comments in videos and go, "Oh, I saw you at, such and such event, but, but you were busy," or "I felt too nervous to come and talk to you." And I'm like, what? No, just come and say hello. It's not a problem. Seriously, I'm not. I'm assuming you watching this are, like me, an electronic computing enthusiast in some description, right? That's all I am. I just happen to put myself in front of a camera because no one else will do it and make a prat of myself every month. That's the only difference. So in many ways, I'm just like you, right? And if you want to come and have a chat, come and say hello, that's what I'm there. I go to these shows to exhibit content, obviously to promote the Wi-Fi Sheep brand. I mean, that's a given. But also, I'm there. I'm there, to meet and talk to you, basically. I mean, that's why I have a stand. That's why I don't sort of disappear off or only, do talks or, I know I'm actually there on the floor of these exhibitions and events at a stand, ready and willing to talk to you, So don't feel. I get it. I understand it, but there's really no need to feel nervous or whatever. Just come and say hi. Seriously, I love talking to people. I really do. For me, that's a real highlight. So, do come. Excuse me. Do come and say hi. So yeah, right. Oh, Brian. Hello, Tom. Thought I would check in on your broadcast this evening. Nice to chat last night. Yes, Brian. Thank you. I'm coming to you next, actually. Excuse me a minute. Itchy nose. Just. Oh dear. It always happens when I'm on air. Yeah, right. Yes. So, let's talk about that now briefly then. Right. So Brian, who's in the chat, Brian Martin, contacted me via info@wifisheep.co.uk, asking me if I was interested in the project he was running about a custom BBS. So bulletin boards, if anyone remembers who's not familiar with BBSs, if you remember the teletext or CFAX type services you just got on the TV, well, bulletin boards worked almost exactly the same way. It's similar technology, but via a phone line or kind of modem cable connection. So instead of being over the air television. And Brian's actually running a custom BBS called Night Owl, which is actually being run on a BBC Master 128 8-bit computer, similar to the one I've got hiding under there. So it's only a part-time service, still in kind of experimental phases, so it kind of has to be up and running for you to kind of call into it. Obviously, if it's running on a BBC Master, you don't want to be running one of those 24/7 because they get hot in their old age. And so Brian invited me on last night, and it was gone midnight. I've got to be honest with you, Brian, I'd had a beer at that point, so which I didn't tell you last night. But yeah, I'd already had a beer, and then I saw the email from you, and I was like, oh, right, okay, yeah, let's do this now. Anyway, yeah, so let me just show you. Here we are. So these are some screenshots I grabbed last night. I was using a client software, by the way, on Mac. So these are just screenshots straight off the Mac. But you can see it's running in what we'd call Mode 7. For those of you Acorn or RISC-OS users, you'll know all about what Mode 7 is. But this is what we'd call Mode 7, which is the sort of teletext mode. And this is the sort of data opening screen. Or menu screen for menu screen for Night Owl BBS. Oh dear, excuse me. I rushed a curry down tonight, which I'm now regretting as well, because I thought I've got to try and have tea before I come on air, and I've probably eaten things a bit too fast. You probably didn't need to know that, but never mind. So this is Night Owl, and there's one section here. You see section 4, Retro YouTube. And it's this gallery of YouTubers that Brian has. This is Brian's BBS, by the way, so the whole service is set up and run by him. Bearing in mind, it's all being hosted and run from a BBC Master. And so there's this gallery of YouTubers that Brian's picked out, and he's picked out me as Wi-Fi Sheep as one of them. And here's a teletext or BBS version of the Wi-Fi Sheep logo, which I thought was pretty cool. And here is the blurbs. This is like on the next page, I think you call it, sort of from that graphic. And there we are. So just a brief runner. So run by Tom Williamson. Wi-Fi Sheep is a retro hobbyist computing channel and media platform. Tom covers a variety of retro-focused topics, maintains a focus on Raspberry Pi, RISC-OS, BBC Micro, and some other platforms. Yeah, that's a fair enough statement. Lots of historic, you're making me feel old now, historic content to enjoy, as the channel has been running since 2016, which is true, it has. I've physically aged doing this, people. Yeah. And yeah, so just a comment in the chat. So let's catch up on that quick. You're approachable. We chatted at the last year's Liverpool Make Fest. Oh, I do remember that, Martin. Yes, I chatted to a few people. That's the whole point of why I'm there. I want to be approachable for people. And then I keep messing up your username. I'm so sorry. Cortal Tavi. Why do I do live streams of chat? I mess everyone's names up. I'm so sorry. Anyway, if you're using old hardware, the old net or theold.net is also a resource. Nice to see there's more than one. Yeah, no, thanks, Brian. Well, there you are, Brian. You've got a couple of fans already. So what we'll probably do with that is I plan to do a video. And we're going to do a video where we'll talk about, and I'll sort of try and go through Night Owl a little bit, talk about hardware, of how you can go and visit it yourself. What we probably should do, thinking about it, and again, I'll have to talk to Brian about this because I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But what we could do is we should like organise, I don't quite call it a LAN party, but like a BBS visiting party where if we arrange it, we've got like software ready to go and view the BBS, and then we're live here on 8 till 8, then I can go and visit it, and then we can all go and visit it with you at home at the same time, sort of thing. You could sort of scroll around it. So maybe we could do something like that as well. I don't know, Brian. Let me know what you think about that. But that's what I was sort of thinking today. I was like, how could we make that interesting? Not that it isn't interesting in its own right. It is. It's very, very cool. So, yeah. So we'll get back to that shortly. What else? Quickly. Oh yes. Right. Lee Ryan. I think I've got his surname right. Hang on. Let me check. I've got that right. Rayner. Sorry about that. Right, Lee. Yeah. So myself and Lee had a chat. I won't go into the full detail of it, but we're kind of arranging to work together on a video project here for Wi-Fi Sheep. Lee's developing a very interesting Android-based, almost fantasy-type computing platform, but it also doubles up as an IDE with a kind of custom C-type language called Conker. And it's looking very interesting. It runs on Android type boxes, so it does have a kind of a specific hardware platform it sits on. It's all very, very low cost, very kind of generic Android ARM hardware. I nearly said x86 then, ARM hardware I think it runs on. So that is a project that we're probably going to be looking at, or will be looking at rather, here on the channel very soon. Lee's also a member on the Wi-Fi Sheep Patreon, which reminds me, I need to say thank you to the patrons because I haven't done that yet. So let's see if this works. I've been messing around with this today. So there they all are. So that is the current patrons and YouTube channel members all together there. Thank you so much, all of you. And you can see there is Lee is the second from top. Again, there's no specific order. It's just the order in which people joined in. So Robert Diggle there has been a backer for some time. You're on the bottom of the list, Robert, but it's nothing personal. It's just the order of how people have joined. So I really do appreciate all the support and help that you people do each month, every month, and you stay with me. And I, again, really do appreciate it. If you want to join them, you can. On Patreon, it's quite simple. You go to patreon.com/Wi-Fi Sheep. And if you want to join the YouTube system, that's if you want to join within YouTube itself, there are the free base tiers. So we've got base support, base plus, and mid support, ranging from 99 pence to 2.99. That's British pound sterling. If you're overseas, that'll convert into euros or dollars, depending on where you are. I'm just looking here at the chat a moment, and right, Coriel Tavi. Coriel Tavi. Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for phonetically spelling that for me, because sorry. I'm so sorry. I do this with everybody. It's nothing personal against you. I mess everyone's name up. It's terrible, but unless you're called Bob or something. I'm not going to get it right. But anyway, I think that's about it. Actually, there is something else I want to talk about, but it's related to what we're doing here. So I think let's crack on with trying to do some work tonight. Again, feel free to chime in on the chat. Great to have your company as ever. I realise I'm talking and not looking at you. I need to get a system where instead of having the stream laptop here, it's over there. So I'm like looking over here, not over there. And you enjoy the struggle. I'm so pleased. Yeah, is that why you're a subscriber? The struggle of Wi-Fi Sheep since 2016. You don't have to be mad to do this, but it helps. Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's cut. Why has that camera gone out of focus? That was perfectly in focus. Hang on. Bear with me. Something like that. It'll go blurry again in a minute, but okay. Right, so something else I want to share with you, but we can do it, as I said, part of this. So let's just get our unit back in. So if you remember where we left off last week, for those of you that were on us or will catch up, I'm just going to zoom out a bit. Again, I like these cameras, they're manual focus, but sometimes they can be a little bit annoying. Anyway, right, there we are. So last time we started looking at improving how to mount things, and we tried looking at the power supply issue, and we tried a 9 volts mains switching supply that just plugged in via barrel connector into the Arduino Mega, and we found that we were having the Pi, which is original Pi 1, started crashing because it was getting low power. Now that's more an issue with the poor voltage on Pi 1s. Very poor voltage regulation, something they fixed on later models, but obviously for this one it's still doing it. Now I'm not so worried about that because, as I said last time, the plan is we're going to use Raspberry Pi Zero as the terminal. So, and those are much better on their power voltage. They use a lot less power, much more efficient. Just a word of warning, people, I am going to go and need to get another cup of tea in a minute because that one's running low. It's running low, getting cold. Anyway, let's take the case off again, and I'll bring you up to speed where we are. By the way, for everyone watching, how are you all doing? Everyone all right? You had a good week? I said I've just been stupidly busy. Okay. Let's put the lid somewhere where I'm not going to lose it, like randomly behind me, which I will lose it. Okay. So what we did last time is we had the Pi and, in this case, the Mega board on foam pads. The problem we had was that, basically it was a terrible idea. It was good in theory, in practice, terrible. So this just slid around and was awful. So I 3D printed an off-the-shelf half Pi 1 original case, just out of PLA. We fitted the Pi, which just friction fitted perfectly in the case. And then I put some adhesive strip tape, similar to this, but in tape form, to the bottom. Stuck that down, and a week later it's not moved. It's really in there tight, and that works really, really well. This, on the other hand, is still on pads just stuck to the PCB. It's not an ideal solution, so I want to repeat that with the 3D print case method. So earlier today, if you saw my tweets earlier today, I was trying to print something off in time. Why I do all the printing on the same day of the live stream is beyond me, but I just like to make life difficult for myself. So again, I went on Thingiverse and I downloaded this, which is a holding chassis of sorts for a Mega. Now, one problem last time is there was an SD card. You can't really see it. There you are. There's an SD card here. It sticks quite a way out. The original Pi 1s used the original large SD card. That card still needs to be able to come out. So I needed this to be up so I could slide the card under to get it out. Also, we've got, because this is an ITX PC case, you've got the mount holes for ITX screw holes basically. And this is sitting on top of a screw hole. These are metal and they're not, I don't think we can get those. I don't think those come out. Although I've never actually tried to see if they would. Not sure. Don't think they would. Yeah, so basically we need to be a certain height high. That is why with this 3D print I printed two sort of legs. So it's going to sit like that. So there's the ground. It's going to sit flat. The board sits in here. And then we've got this overhang. Now, obviously, you can't just randomly print overhang on a 3D printer because it would just be spewing into nothing. So you have to be able to print with a scaffold, which is what this is, so it can actually print large pieces of overhang. So what we need to do now is, with a bit of luck, this should, I might need to get the tools out in a minute, but this, most of this scaffold should just come off. I need to get a pair of pliers. And that's the point. I don't even know where my tools are. Oh God, have I left them upstairs? Oh wow, if I've done that, that's, yeah, that might be a problem. Right, hang on a minute. We might be going for a tea break shortly, people, but have I got a semi-decent knife that I've not somehow managed to ruin? And the answer is not sure. It's only for testing purposes, so this doesn't have to be the best or cleanest 3D print in the world. Also, PLA is surprisingly tough to cut. You wouldn't think a plastic derived from cornstarch would be, but it really is quite tough sometimes to cut. Come on. And it doesn't have to be the neatest thing in the world. We just need to just cut this stuff off. There we go. And we make lots of mess with bits of stringy plastic everywhere, which is the nature of 3D printing. Probably should take this out, really, if I can get that out. Again, it's just solid on this side. Hope you're enjoying the crunchy sound. I realise I've left my pliers and cutters are all upstairs. When I mean upstairs, I mean they're in the attic. The reason they're up there is that's where the model railway and trains are. Another hobby which I don't get a lot of time to do now. You may have seen I did a video for Wi-Fi Chic Christmas some years ago about Raspberry Pi digital controlled model trains. Actually, that reminds me, if you're local to the Midlands, I'm going, just as a visitor, I'm going to the Stafford Model Railway exhibition tomorrow, just as a visitor. It ran today and it's going to run tomorrow. And I'm just going to be there most of the day, actually. I've got a few things I want to pick up model train wise for a project I'm doing, which I'm hoping might actually form content for Wi-Fi Chic Channel 2, because it's not directly computing, but it is still electronics and 3D printing and building and that kind of thing. So it's relevant. It's all relevant, but look at the mess with me. Right. Okay, I haven't cleaned it all off, but that's good enough, I think. It says, oh dear. Yeah. So it's a bit of a mess, but it doesn't matter, it's just for the prototype, so I think we'll be all right. Okay, I've got another new, actually, mega board. These are clones, which we're going to try and fit. Now, this I think is going to be a very tight fit, but I did notice something. The camera can pick that up, right? Look where the holes are. Yeah. Not quite right, which is typical. So I don't know if on the proper mega boards, Arduino Megas, if these are in a slightly different place. Not a biggie, but we'll just have to again, get the knife, we'll just trim a little bit of plastic if we can, without shattering the blade. Again, this PLA is so tough to cut through. I've actually destroyed drill bits trying to drill it. Believe it or not, it's, you wouldn't think it, just being 3D print filament, how tough it is, and it's just generic PLA, so it's nothing hugely special. I need my pliers, which I can't believe I've left upstairs. Oh, I've left them upstairs. Surely I've had them. Maybe I haven't got them, and I haven't done anything that's needed pliers all week then. Yeah, okay, that's a weird one. Oh, there we are. It's gone. Yeah, nearly. Nearly. So we start to get impatient, stop forcing things. Okay. Yeah, nearly. Yeah, just a little bit more adjustment. Get that back out. Just take a bit more off. Oh, that is annoying. Okay. Let's try that. We are talking millimeters of material. Okay. I'll just show you that. There we are. So, okay. Now, I don't want to wedge that one in, but the plan is that this should, let's have a think about this a minute. This is going to sit, hang on. Right, you can see now. This is going to sit kind of like that, so we need to take this board up. And yeah, that's not put up much resistance. Just need to take this foam stuff off. You can see where that screw hole there that's causing the issue. So let's see how well, if at all well, this is going to work. Sort of in at a funny angle now. Ugh, come on. Kind of don't want to force it. It's kind of at a funny angle, but it's not. It's not going anywhere. Yeah. how terrible does that look? Well, I'm not good enough. I'd like to remind everyone this is the prototype build, and the build you're going to make. And by the way, the Project Rio series, I have been shooting the very first video. It's got to come out next week because it's due to come out for September. So next week, I've literally been shooting it today. It will be out next week. And we'll be building a more open plan, but using the mega board. So I'll be using a board basically like that, without the hat, to build that project. So this is the prototyping for what we're going to be calling the production board. Okay, that's looking good. Just the stuff is sticky and horrible and everywhere. So let's get more of it. So I've got this foam tape. This is what we've been using. I mean, that's in terribly, but it won't go any further actually because the this doesn't accommodate for the solder legs for the various components. So I usually get a retired soldering iron out when my PLA prints don't fit. Yeah, that was an option which we were seriously looking at last week. But because this is a prototype, it is possible I might want to take stuff back out again, not weld it in, if you know what I mean. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's what you'd do. You'd probably just use your soldering iron, or a retired soldering iron, an older one. I'm terrible, and I actually used my main one for plastic mounting as well, which is a bit of a no-no. Okay, so we're just going to put foam pad on there. I am going to go and get my tools because we can't do the next bit without them, and I've left them in the attic. But yeah, hope to be doing some model train type videos. That'll be over on channel 2. So if you want interest in that kind of stuff, do go and subscribe. It's details and links to that are in the descriptions of this video, or just head over to 2.wifisheep.co.uk. I'd like to get that channel over the 500 subscriber threshold as quickly as possible, really. It's on 66 at the moment, which is not bad going for a new channel. So, right. Okay. Let's try and get this. Apologies if the back of my head gets in the way. There we go. So there's still a bit of play in it, but it's much better than it was. Whole board's not in amazingly well, but it'll be all right. And I can always adjust that. If it really annoys me, I'll adjust that at a later time. But for now, while we're all here, it'll do. So that is in. Can I now still, it's fiddly, but can I get my SD card out? I can. That will slide underneath and come out. That's brilliant. So just make sure the cabling is in. Yep. Now, why I want to be so careful where I position this is there's a hole just here. And if you remember last week, we tried putting power, 9 volts, 2 amps through the barrel jack, and we just didn't generate enough power over to the Pi. So what I want to do is fit a barrel jack in here. So take 9 volts, 2 amps in, and then we'll go for a voltage regulator, and that will take us down to 5 volts. We then feed 5 volts separately through that voltage regulator to this board and to the Pi. At the moment, what's happening is we're relying on the Arduino to do the voltage regulation. So if you look at a stock, well, I say stock, a clone Arduino, but the proper ones have this as well. Let's find a screwdriver so I can point at things. You see these two components here? Let's just see if I can bring that a little bit better for you. Okay, so you've got these two things here, and these are voltage regulators. So power comes in. I say via USB. If it's USB, it should be 5 volts already. If it's coming on the barrel jack, it can go. Well, I thought it was 12 volt compliant, but it isn't, because I blew one up doing that. So 9 volts comes in, and then it's tapped down to 5 volts, and then the 5 volts is tapped down to 3.3 volts, and that's how you get your 5 volts and 3.3 volt logic. It's via these two voltage regulators here and here, right? But what I want to do is, in case these are weak or we're just getting less than 5 volts, like 4.8 or something coming out, I want to build a new separate power regulator circuit, which I want to fit. Basically, we'll have to tap it in with foam tape just into here, barrel jack through there. So you'll plug into there, and then that will redistribute the power. So I'm probably going to have to do a mad dash shortly and try and grab all the bits so we can start testing that. And that, I think, might make our system a little bit more reliable. While I'm here, before I forget, the thing I wanted to show you is, again, in relation to clone microcontrollers, particularly if you've got clone cheap Arduinos, or if I've got one to hand, which I have, ESP32s. Right. Now, ESP32s and Arduino clones all have something in common, which is this chip here, and you can see the same chip here. Okay, that is the USB to serial driver chip. So basically, it's a thing that when you plug in via USB into Arduino, it means your computer can see the board, and then it actually sends data through this chip, that converts it to serial or UART via UART, and then that writes to the AVR or the ESP32. These cheap boards, and almost exclusively all ESP32s, use something called the CH340 driver. Until very recently, and I mean, I only discovered this 2 days ago, CH340 on Mac or Windows had to be installed as a separate driver. It didn't run natively. Interestingly, Linux and Unix systems, the majority of them, didn't need the drivers. Now, at work, I was in the lab at Harper Adams engineering department, in the lab there, and we're using these kind of boards in all the robots. You may have seen the latest video on robots. And basically, I was in the lab, and we're wanting to use these, more generic, cheaper boards, because the boards they're using at the moment are about £20–30 each, which is ridiculous, all to use a different driver set. Now, bearing in mind, the PC IT systems there are all locked down, so we can log into them, but we can't install any software. We don't have administrative privileges, so we couldn't put third-party drivers on. This was causing me a real headache. Then the other day, the senior lecturer there sort of suggested to me, as I was in the lab with him, and he said, why don't you just try, I had these boards with me, he said, why don't you just try that on the system and see if it'll read it? And I just thought, it's not going to read it, because it never has done. So the Arduino IDEs had all been updated over the summer to the latest version. I plugged it in via USB. The board I had Tiny Basic, or Rio Basic, running on it. And to my amazement, it showed up on the serial in the Arduino IDE on the stock Windows build. And I thought, no way is it all of a sudden reading CH340 drivers. So when I got back next day, I tried it on the Mac M2, which is what this is, the Mac M2 Silicon MacBook. Now this machine has Arduino IDE installed, but it doesn't have any of the third-party drivers. I don't use this as the development machine. So I plugged this in, again thinking this isn't going to work, and it worked. And more so, not only was it reading serial, I could actually upload sketches, which is what Arduino C files are called. I could upload sketches to Arduinos, which means, although I haven't tried it, ESP32 and other devices that use CH340, was it 240? I forget now, but anyway, the Chinese driver set, it's going to work. And that's huge, not only for what we're doing at work, but also for Project Rio, because it means that not only now do you get the source code for the basic interpreter, so you compile that yourself, which means you don't need Windows XP or anything like that, you don't need Xloader anymore. You can basically use this on a Mac, PC, Linux, it doesn't matter. You can now use the cheap generic boards, and I really do recommend you use these cheaper clone boards because they're just as good. It's exactly the same chip. They're about a third of the price, and I can now confidently say, yes, you can upload and run those on your PC, Mac, etc. without needing to faff around with drivers. So that's a huge win, both for work and also for us here on the Project Rio build. So hugely excited about that. I have covered it briefly in the new video for Project Rio part 1 of the build, putting the interpreter on the mega board. But I think I might do a separate video just because it's such a big event. You know, the sort of thing I've been losing sleep over. Because it's such a big event, I thought I might do a separate video just explaining that. Just because I just think people won't realise it. I had no idea. I found out by fluke, just because the latest versions of the Arduino IDE, which I think is 2.1.1 or something like that, actually cover it. So yeah, there you are. As you've heard it here first. Right. So let's pop these out the way so I can think about what I'm doing. Is that what I think it is? Yes, it is. Right. Let me show you what these came in the post today. So these are new 12mm barrel jacks. Well, I think it's 12mm. Is it 2mm or 12mm? Can't remember. Anyway, they're the correct type for the power transformers we've been using. And I'm trying to find my power transformer because I put it away somewhere. I need to go and grab that. I said I wasn't prepared when we came on air. But plan is to build a new little mini PCB type thing using a piece of breadboard. And then this is going to, oops, in theory, hang on, this might be best laid plans come unhinged if that won't work the way I think it will. No, that's not quite going to work. So it's going to be a very long and thin PCB. Then it's going to have to go in kind of like that sort of thing. Yeah, so you've got a barrel jack which will go in there. Okay, that's going to be an interesting challenge. How are we going to do that? Okay, I might have to rethink this slightly. Get that out. Yeah, so it's kind of having to go in kind of like that, where I wanted to do that, you see. We got enough clearance to go the other way without hitting the Arduino. Oh gosh, no, we haven't. That's really tight. Ah, damn. Okay. Think. Okay, if that is going to be too awkward, we could always build it as a module and fit it kind of in here or something. We'll figure it out. It's not a big problem. We'll figure it out, don't worry. Okay. Right, just checking the chat, and yep, we're all pretty much up to speed. I think what I'm going to do now, so think about it. Yeah, I need to go and grab some tools, which unfortunately are in the attic. I'm going to go and get a refill. I suggest everyone goes and does the same. And we will be back here in worst case scenario 10 minutes. So if you give me 10 minutes of your time, I'll be back and we'll have a go at getting a prototype together, seeing if we can get some voltage regulating, and then figure out whatever we build, how we're going to get that to fit in the case. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Okay, I'll be right back. back. I'm still not got everything ready, but I feel really bad leaving you all hanging. So I thought, you know what? I'm here. I'm back. I got some tools that were missing so we can do something. So I'm sure you'll forgive me if I'm just like kind of all over the place, just trying to grab bits, because I am that prepared. I want one of those, possibly want one of those. But luckily, everything I kind of need is here. Oh, Badger Bye, welcome to Base Support. You become a channel member. Oh, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate that. That's really, really kind of you. Welcome on board. Thank you so much. Username, I do remember. We have crossed comments and things. I don't know if we've ever met in person. Please remind me if we have. But yeah, that's definitely... You know, that's the thing with this channel is it's kind of like the users. You people, I kind of, even if I can't pronounce half the username. Please, no one be offended by that. I am not doing it deliberately. The truth of the matter is, I've never really admitted this before, but you might have guessed by some of my occasional bad spelling in videos that happens, is I'm actually properly diagnosed dyslexic. So reading and writing has never been a strong point. Despite the fact I'm actually a journalist for Pixel Addict magazine, so you can do it, but that's why occasionally reading things live, I'm just like, especially if it's a slightly weird name that you have to kind of like, I was like, okay, you know. So, oh, thank you so much for coming on board there. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, you can be a channel member, and I'm doing, what do they call it? Like the thankses, or you can, if you want to do a one-off monetary donation or something, you can through YouTube. What do they call that? Like, is it the thanks button or something on the stream? I'm going to get paranoid now. I need to go and check what it is. But yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, right. So let's... Oh, here we are. Quickly. No, not met in person. I live in Lancashire and don't get down south much. I enjoy the videos there. Yeah, well, I only go down... Well, depends what you mean by south. They say the north-south divide in the UK is at Crewe, which is Cheshire. So I'm Shropshire, which is below, geographically below Cheshire. So, yeah. So technically, you could say I'm the south. Although you could argue that the south is kind of like Gloucestershire, Herefordshire, that kind of thing. But we could have an argument about where the south and north is. We're kind of what we call the Midlands, or I'm the Welsh Marches, so I'm kind of like central Birmingham, but over a bit towards Wales. So I'm kind of like more the Marches. But that's why this Midland show is only about an hour, or about an hour 15 away from me, as opposed to if I went to Cambridge, which I've just decided to duck out from this year, because it's a bit busy, and with work and stuff, I'm just a bit hectic. Cambridge would be a real jaunt for me to head literally across country through the Midlands and then down south towards sort of Peterborough, Cambridge way, which is not local to me at all. So anyway, but no, we've never met. Okay, fair enough. No, I'm not weird. Okay, yeah. It's all right. We're all friends here, and I'm not here to judge anybody. You put up with my occasional gaffes and mistakes, which I appreciate you all doing so much. So, yeah, I'm the last person to be judging. Right. Oh, TV Martin. There's another person I know. Hope all is well. South Coast, Hampshire, where nothing happens. South Coast. So, I was working for a private education firm last year. We started COVID mask restrictions and things on. So yeah, and we went down to Hastings, and I was in that kind of area doing STEM education as a teacher with it was like a holiday camp thing. So I was working as a teacher running these holiday camp computing session things. That's one of the companies that actually licensed Tiny Basic, the original Tiny Basic system, which I just happen to have one of the license. There we are, one of the boards from the original builds, and they were actually getting kids to build these. They'd take them all apart at the end and they'd rebuild them, and I was actually there delivering teaching content. Oh, stretch, there we go. Right, anyway, Let's good to see you, by the way, TB Martin. That's another person who has been, God, you've been, both of you actually, Badger By and TB Martin, you've been, I recognise the usernames. I know we've had a chat before, sort of in the comments and stuff. So been a few years you've been, haven't you, with me, which I appreciate. Again, all of you, the community, you know, you've stuck with me, which is absolutely fantastic. So I'm amongst friends, put it that way. Okay, right. So what we're going to try and do is build a kind of like a regulated. I use the word power supply. It's not strictly speaking true, because is that the power supply? No, that's the old one. That's the old one. Hang on. Where's the new one? We had it last week. Crash. The drill falling over. We had it last week. Where's it gone? I was literally staring at the damn thing as well. That's it. There we go. There we go. Right. So this is the plug that I bought and showed you, or we saw last time. So that's 5 volts, 2 amps. That's not the right one then. I put it somewhere. Oh, is it? Oh, it doesn't matter. Right. It was like this anyway. The one I was trying. It's weird when you start finding power supplies you don't even remember you've got. This was one I tried originally. This was a variable power supply. So it's got a little notch here, and again the barrel jack. So let's just, before I'm going crazy, let's just check the barrel jacks do actually plug into the damn power transformers. This is the blooming DB9 connector all over again. Did I mention I hate... There, I've got it here. Got the correct one. Did I mention I hate barrel connectors? Stop giving me jip. Ah, there we go. Right, I'm not going mad, people. There we are. It does fit. Okay. That is the supply that I bought. Right. Output 9 volts, 2 amps. More than enough power. This board shouldn't be having problems. So let's just take that out the way a minute and put it somewhere where it will fall over and make a big crashing sound. Let's clear all the plastic debris from earlier and put it into a nice little pile over there off camera. There you go. Let's take this power supply and move it out of the way because I'm running out of desk space. And let's talk about what we're going to do. So I have got, just leaning out the way again, just bear with me. Oops. I have got this plastic tray, which is full of chip holders, or sockets rather, for Atmega 328Ps, electrolytic capacitors, which are polarized, and these, which is what we want to look at. These are voltage regulators. 3 legs, so a bit like a transistor, the way they work. And they're a larger version of what we saw on our mega board. So, again, I'll hold this up so you can see. There we go. So, this one here and this one here. Okay, that's basically a larger version. So that should be able to regulate from I think it's 12 volts, but we're going to run 9 volts down to 5. So it's 3 legs. And the way these work is you have collector, ground, which is middle, and then emitter. So in theory, and we're going to test this before we try and build a circuit up, if I put 9 volts in here, I should get 5 volts out of here. That's the theory. To test that, let's use a little bit of breadboard. So we'll stick that in there. And I'm trying to think, how are we going to do this? We need a power source. I've got a 9-volt battery, which we could try just to see if this works. Let's just check, because I don't know how old that battery is. I've got a couple of 9 volts that just lie around the place, which occasionally get used. So multimeter is hiding when I need it. Where are you? Oh, hang on. Other side of the room. Trust me, people, it is like this when I'm doing a video recording, but you don't see this because I edit that bit out. So it looks like everything is instantly ready and available when it's not. Multimeter, let's just check what we got. So common voltage. Let's just check that's working. That's continuity. Yep, that's fine. Battery, so just put it into battery mode. Let's get this right way around. Positive, negative. What we got coming out the top of there? 7 point. We're a bit low. We're a little bit low, but be enough. It'll be all right. Okay. How can we do this? I'm just thinking, do I need to get like a battery connector top? I've got one somewhere in my massive thing of parts. One thing I have to do with this studio is I need to start labeling where things are, because otherwise you just rummage through box after box after box, and it's like, I know I bought those or this or that, and then when you need it, especially if you're live, can you find it? Of course you can't. What a stupid question. Ah, there we are. That wasn't what I was looking for, but it's good enough. So let's pop that on. So I think this battery is a little bit weak, but not giving us a straight 9, but it'll be good enough. And luckily the ends are already crimped for us. So just doing a test. If I've got this right, I'll test that in a minute. I'll put that in a minute. So that will go there. So if I now take, actually, what am I doing? Let's just grab my leads here. So positive, negative, something like that. So if we grab that bin, oops. There we go. So these are just grab leads. There we go. Okay. It's not the best setup in the world, but it'll do the job. So if I put the battery onto the collector, this works the way I think it works. That should now be live. We turn that on, we'll set it. There we go. There we go. So a little under 9 volts coming in, a straight 5.02 volts coming straight out. That works perfectly. That's exactly what we want. Really stable as well. Excellent, that works. Okay. What we'd probably also want to do, just to make sure the voltage is clean, because that's another issue, is dirty voltage or dirty power, is to add 1 or 2 electrolytic capacitors. The advantage of adding these is what you do is you put them between your positive rail and your negative. These are, and I'll get shouted at for calling things UF in a minute. 50 volts, 1.0 UF, which is picofarad. Help me out, someone. It is, isn't it? It's picofarad. Yeah, but basically we use them as bridging. Sorry, fresh cup of tea. Voltage bridging capacitors, or smoothing caps, probably is the correct word. So you actually put these between your positive and your negative. They won't short out or anything if they're correct around, and then they'll be charged up to voltage. And if the power supply, let's say, is, let's just disconnect that. The power supply is wobbly or shaky this side, it'll make up the difference to give you the constant flow. So it kind of cleans the power supply so it's not dipping up and down all the time, and that can cause electrical interference or problems at the other end. So okay, that makes sense. That was a little too easy. I still think, how are we going to get this to fit in the board, or rather the case, sorry. What we need now is we need a piece of breadboard. So when I say breadboard, this is solderless breadboard, which looks like this or that, which you've seen me use those times, and we will be using for Project Rio. Yeah, sort of domestic build, if you like. But I'm talking about solder breadboard. Big stretch. Right. That's the one thing about having such a small studio, is I can literally just stretch from one wall to the other to grab things off the shelves, which is kind of useful. Okay, right, what have we got in here? What we've got in here off camera so you can't see it. I'm looking through this box, okay? So just give me a minute. And everything's got my name and address on it, which is not helpful. Basically, I'm looking for solder breadboard, which looks like that, or like this. And I'm just thinking what's the best to use, and I'm hoping we've got some really thin stuff. Like really thin stuff. Kind of like that. Might be an option for us. Let's have a look. Yeah, okay. Okay. So the options we have are, this is a copper plate board. So you can see here the shiny surface, and this is copper tracks that run separately but all the way down. So if I put it on a multimeter, let's put it into continuity mode so it makes the beep. Okay, so if I connect, let's say there, and then run all the way down, you can see it makes continuity because it's connected from A to B. Where it's not connected up here, it's not connected up there, for example. So it means if I put a component in, let's say there, it is connected all the way down unless I break the copper. So that's one way we could do, but we'd need to cut this into a strip to work, which we could do. Alternatively, and I'm tempted to use one of these, this is made up as a PCB, basically. So you buy these off the shelf and they're just breadboard PCB. So instead of having a strip that runs all the way down there to there, it's not connected. Each of these are only connected to their own individual pin placement, if you like. And this stuff can be used for wire wrapping or development. So what I'm thinking is we might use something like that, but we may still have to cut it down. We've certainly got to dig some holes in it, I know that much. So let's just get our barrels back. One thing I definitely know is that a barrel connector is not going to fit in there without, I can show you that, we'll need to hack some holes into the board. We'll have to drill out a little bit and then pray there's some material to actually hook into to solder. Yeah, it's not ideal, but I'm trying to figure out how's that going to work. Let's just take that off so we don't have a battery doing something that I don't know about. Right. Let's clear ourselves a bit of space to think about this. Okay. So we need to get that into some sort of contraption to fit in here and fit through that hole. Almost be tempted to go like that actually. We haven't got this. Oh dear. So that would go. That would have to go that way around. Really, what I'd love to do is have the board sort of stuck there, and then the barrel connector like that. Obviously flush, so kind of like that. But it's not gonna. It wouldn't marry. Would it marry up to the hole? Sorry, 1 minute. Well, we could try it. We could try it. See what happens. Okay. Oops, that's something dropping on the floor. I think that might have been the voltage regulator. Down. Okay, I'll pick that up later. Right, so we're going to need to drill or hack a hole in the board. Oh, hello, we've got a suggestion from Martin. I'm all open for suggestions. Might be worthwhile putting a regulator to the edge of your board so you can bolt the regulator to the PSU, causing to dissipate the heat. Ah, yes, I didn't mention that. Right, yeah. Thank you for reminding me, actually. So, with a voltage regulator, if you've got a higher voltage coming in, right, so in the collector, and a lower voltage going out the other side for the emitter, that's right, isn't it? Collector emitter, yeah. Oh, chassis, yep. Yeah. Oh, hang on, right, okay, yeah. I'm with you, Martin. 1 moment, right. Collector and emitter, okay. You've got a higher voltage coming in this side and a lower voltage coming out that side. That extra voltage has to go somewhere. And what normally happens is it ends up dissipating as heat. That's why these have this metal ring on the top. That piece gets hot, you see. So in many cases, these will actually get screwed. That's a hole for a screw. And they'll get screwed or sometimes soldered onto a heatsink to dissipate the heat. This will get hot, taking 9 volts down to 5 volts. It's not horrendous. And what Martin was suggesting is if we could actually attach the heatsink, which is actually a good idea, attach the heatsink to the metal case. This is a metal case, and use the case as a giant heatsink to dissipate the heat. So you attach small bits of metal to large bits of metal if you're not going to fan cool in order to distribute the heat. That's not a bad idea, actually. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Okay. I've got plenty of these parts, so we you don't know where. Oh yeah, but look, I've already admitted I'm dyslexic. Don't start throwing words like that at me. For God's sake, you know, it's coming up to 9:30 at night. Come on. That's not fair. Right, okay. Don't be mean to me. Let's get the Dremel out. I feel when I'm doing if any YouTuber, electrical YouTuber does Dremels, they need their paperclip as well to shove in the power supply. 10 points if you get the cult reference that's relating to. Oh dear. Next, to be telling me there's any drill bits in me Dremel. This is one of these cheap, nasty Dremels. I had a nice one with like a variable, like a dial on it for variable speed, and that of course got very hot because it used this kind of system. It got hot because it was dropping the voltage, and it actually popped off the PCB and broke, and then torched itself, which was brilliant. A brilliant piece of Maplin. Do you remember Maplin? They went bust a few years ago. Kind of way we went to buy things before the advent of eBay and cheaper stuff. But Maplin stuff, especially the later stuff, was not that great. Let's be honest. I only used to go in there. We had a local store here. I only ever used to go in there if I desperately needed something, or they had something on offer, which is probably not a great business model. So no, it's not my fault they went bust, but you know. Now I just mail order everything offline, including from China if needs be. I've got stuff everywhere. You should see the desk off camera. I've got stuff everywhere. Right. If we mess this up, I've got other boards, so it's not a huge problem. TB Martin, can you use some copper shims so you don't have to place it directly on the case, or would that not be as effective? I'm going to be brutally honest with you, and this is just a guess. I don't think it's going to get that hot. I mean, remember, these are doing the same job here. That one and that one, right? And they're tiny, and they're actually surface mounted flat onto just a piece of metal or copper on the PCBs, right? They're doing the same job, and they're tiny. Yeah, that's taking the same amount of voltage. I'm using a much bigger regulator. We're not putting that much voltage through it. So I might eat my words here and be totally wrong, but I've got a feeling we might be all right. We'll have to see. One thing I do know is I do need this machine or this build being reliable enough to run all day at the Risco-S Christmas market exhibition. Which, before I start drilling things to bits, let me just remind you of again, for those of you that have joined us a little bit late. There we are. So I'm going to be exhibiting at the Mug Risco-S Christmas Market event. It's a free computer get together slash, it's a sort of show, but it's a very small low key show. It's here in the West Midlands in a place called Witchbold. Full details at I've done that all night. mug.riscos.org. I will put the link in the description to the video. I've not done that ahead of time. If you're watching live, I'll do it when the video goes up as a pre-record. So on December the 9th, I'm going to be there. I'll be there all day. Would be great to have your company if you can come down. If you're in about a 2 mile radius of sort of Droitwich area of the West Midlands, it probably might be worth coming down if you're free on that day. It'd be great to have your company. Right, that's the wrong camera. There we are. Right, now then, so what I want to do is just see if we can get that to go through the board somehow. I might need a pen just to mark this, actually. Have I got a Sharpie to hand? I normally do. Oh yes, there we go. So let's just mark up I'm just using a Sharpie. I know you can't see it that well, but I'm just using a Sharpie just to see where the pins I need to make bigger are going to be. This Sharpie has, I think, had it. I knew it was going to be a dud when I picked it up. All my pens in this room don't work. Wait for those back to school sales. Okay, something like that. Right. Make sure we're on. So we're just going to basically try and make a big hole. That is a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. Come on. Creating more mess. That is, oh God, that is really tough. And that's actually getting really hot. I'm amazed how tough that is, actually. I thought I was going to drill straight through that. Ah, dear. I don't think my drill's powerful enough. Damn it. Okay, that is something I did not. Yeah, okay. That's not going to work. Oh God, right. What's good? Okay. It would work if I had a drill powerful enough to get through, and I'm not gonna. Oh, right. Okay, let's have a think. I just wonder, actually, have I got... I might have a... I haven't seen it in a long time, but I might have a scrap... connector already on a board that we can butcher up if I can find it. No guarantees I can. Oh dear. All happening, isn't it? I just don't think it would be a very fun video if I'm there just trying to hack through something in the next, hour or so. I think that might just be a bit nauseating and sound-wise for you watching, so try not just to drop things on the floor. Oh, God's sake. I was about to say something really stupid then. Why don't they just make barrel connectors with PCB pins? But then again, they'd be so weak with the pressure of, constantly being, having the power supplies pulled in and out of them. They'd be so weak that they'd break really easily. Because you need these connectors for anchor points. It's just, so I can get through this. What is wrong with this drill bit? Seriously, that PCB is really tough. That is really annoying. Because, of course, me being me, I just assumed we'd go straight through that. Didn't sort of occur to me that might put up some kind of resistance. It's definitely around. It's one I blew up one day, unfortunately. Oof. Right. What do we do now, people? Oh dear. Okay. Just out of curiosity, and drop your ideas for this in the comments. What do you want me to do? I need to go and get a power drill to get through that, which is really, really annoying. So do you want me to go and get the power drill and try and get through it so we can carry on? Do you want me to rummage around, see if I can find that other board? Right. Because I'm trying to think now. It's not like we can even sort of... I don't think we can even get away with bending those... Hang on, let me just check something a minute. Let me just check where the continuity on these is. Just 1 minute. Right. Sod's law, that and that are not connected together. I'll show you what I'm doing. Right. I just want to see. So you've got these 3 pins, right? What I'm thinking is I can bend the 2 outer pins if they're not connected together. And they're not. Interesting. So okay, so I'm just looking in the comments. Do what you have to do if you wanted, you'll go and get one. And Badger Boy, do I have a smaller bit? Yeah, I do have smaller bits. That's an idea. Could we get 3 of us? Yeah, that's an idea. Interesting that... Okay. So that's center. So are those 2 seriously not attached to anything? No, they are. Okay. What if, for the love of God, people, do not do this, but what if we just cut off... So I'm going to try and get that near the camera so you can see. If I cut that middle one off, I can bend those 2 out and then we can solder those onto the board. It's terrible, but it would work. I've got enough of these that we can do that. So, and then we can just sort of solder it flush. Yeah, okay. I'm going to do that. Thanks for the suggestions, people, but I think that's what we'll do. So, bend that like that. Bend that one like that. I'll cut the 3rd as flush as I can get it. and then we can mount this kind of crudely, and we'll get some solder on that. And I'll just get that soldered on, and we'll do that. Probably just go over the top of where I'll try to. If we do it like that, that'll be all right. Yeah. So. Oh yeah, no, always do try and be remotely safe, or you just don't get to see the accidents. No, in truth, I've done worse things to myself with the model railways. I don't think it is a needed pin. I've just chucked that third pin. It's just it's connected through to the centre. So basically, we've got continuity. I can check that actually. Now you mention it, I can check that. Just find one of the many boxes in the top part of the room. No, the more injury I'm going to do to myself is standing on chairs all the time. Barrel connector, unconnected end. And that's just get a bit of cabling on the ends. I have got a proper tool for this, but I'm just going to be lazy and make a mess of it. There we go. That's good enough. No, this is absolutely not going to be my 8-bit guy in the paperclip in the prototype IBM moment. That was the reference from earlier, by the way. Saying that, the nice thing about what we're doing is it's not like expensive stuff. So if you do have a slight accident, and I have fried the odd thing now and again, which is annoying, don't get me wrong, but it's not like one of a kind critical. So did I finish what I was saying about the worst thing I'd had accidents with? Model railways, model trains, hideously dangerous. I've like been cutting with a knife, and then I've sort of slipped, and then it's sort of gone and sliced into my hand and all sorts, and then I was like bleeding. I was like, ah, and it just sort of flicked blood all over the place upstairs in the attic, and I was, oh god. Anyway, if you're having tea, by the way, I'm sorry. Oh, and soldering iron burns when I was younger. So I've been there, I've done all that. I'm pleased to say, in the time I've been doing Wi-Fi sheet, I've to date not had any major like injury or anything, which is good. What is it with these barrel connectors not connect? Get what? Oh god. Oh, here we are. Dave Paul Jones is back. Hi, Dave. How are you doing? Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us again. God knows. God knows why that doesn't go in there. Right. That was my best laid plan and everything. Doesn't matter. We'll carry on. So, if if we go into the top of the connector, okay, that's center. And if we go into the bottom of the connector where there's a metal plate, yeah, it's doing all three because the pin is wedged between the center pin and the plate, but those two are connected through. So it's center positive on an Arduino, so that'll be voltage and these two will be ground. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so this isn't the best way of doing things, but it'll work. So let's, how are we doing for time, by the way? Oh, we're doing all right. We're doing all right. I've got sort of like a oh, hang on a minute, DB Martin. Speaking of trains, you should do videos for the second channel. Well, that's the plan. That's one of the reasons for the second channel. From what I understand, it's not just standing there and watching them go around. No, God, no, it really isn't. Not with what I'm doing. It's a very for those of you that don't know, and I think many of you don't, I used to do model tram cars, Blackpool model tram cars, professionally. I used to do that's why I got into 3D printing. I did resin casting. This was in N scale, and I had a layout based on a bit of Blackpool, and it actually got into the Rio Modeler magazine. It went to the National Exhibition in Blackpool. I got paid to do this stuff, and people used to buy bits from me. And this is what I was kind of doing before I started Wi-Fi Sheep. And I've always had an interest in model railways and trains. It is a very technical thing to do, especially with the digital systems. We've used Arduino to drive digital systems with them, Raspberry Pi as well. And then you've got things like 3D printing, you've got model making, electronics. We looked at making, custom transfers, print things, stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot to it. And then of course there's the historical researching if you're doing something accurate or you're rebuilding a place. So yeah, lots to do. But what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to sort of put all train stuff into channel 1, main channel that you're watching now, because this is computing. Wi-Fi Sheep 2 is the perfect place to do that kind of content. So it also gives me an excuse to do the content in the first place, because that's the one thing. I'm so busy with work and doing videos here and work relating to here that I don't get time to do much in the way of model trains. But yeah, no, great thinking there, Steve Martin. Absolutely, yeah. And Dave Jones says, I used Cheap Host UK a couple of years after your promotion. Excellent. Yeah, it works out well. I need to move some of my stuff over to them, actually. Some of my stuff's actually with Arrival at the moment, which makes absolutely no sense considering with the deal I get to go with them. So I need to do that myself. Practice what you preach kind of thing, if you know what I mean. So, but yeah. Details of Cheap Host UK are in the description, and you can find that. And yeah, you can get 10% off with discount code SHEEP at the checkout when you buy a domain name or hosting package from our sponsors, Cheap Host UK. And we say thank you very much for sponsoring us here at Wi-Fi Sheep. And Lee says, I made a model railway turntable with my mate using Stepper motors and Raspberry Pi. Yeah, exactly the kind of thing. If you're interested, go and search Thornton Gate, N-gauge or N-scale, and that will come up with the work I did a few years ago. And I was also in, it was December 2014 edition of the Railway Modeler magazine. The layout was featured at a 3-page spread. It was in that magazine. If you've got that edition, that was me in there back then. So yeah, the project I'm doing now, by the way, is 00, which is your Hornby type scale. It's a more modern image diesel type layout, which I'm working on. So and that's why I'm going to Stafford Model Railway Show tomorrow. So if you are in the area, Stafford Model Railway Show, I am visiting tomorrow. Probably going to be there all day. But yeah, nice to have a day off. and then back to the grind on Monday. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some alcohol flux just to clean up the area of the board where I started to make a mess. I really need this. Oh, where's my sponge gone for my soldering iron? Where's that gone? Best laid plans. Everything goes walkies. I've got that old. Oh, hang on. Right, found it. Just a bit of old sponge, basically. You know, soap, dishwasher sponge, whatever you want to call it. Kitchen sponge. There we are. That's the word I was looking for. Just need to run that under the tap. Just bear with me, people. Talk amongst yourselves. Bathroom just down the corridor. So, here we are. Need a damp sponge just to clean stuff up. Right, yeah. But yeah, as I said, railway stuff. Can't give you a date for it. Would like to do something for Christmas, but I am so busy, and we've got Wi-Fi Chic Christmas content here to do, and now we've got the show. So, but I will do some train stuff because I'm, spending the money on it, and I want to get on and do stuff. But you need to go over to 2.wifichic.co.uk if you haven't done so already. Right, I need a new nib for my soldering iron because this one's been abused. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll just try putting some solder down. Yeah. So just put 2 bits down there. Just get a face full of flux. And here's Gertmon. Hello, good evening to you. Although the regulator for the final version is the TSR series of switching regulators, which have the same footprint as the 87 series regulators, which don't need the heatsink. Not dear either. Yeah. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I am rather new to all this, looking at this kind of stuff. So I'm always interested in people's opinions. The only reason I'm using these is I have a lot of them. Because they were part of something else that I didn't want at the time, and I had to take these with me. But, never say never to not exactly free stuff, but, can be used for something else. Right. Word of warning, people. This might not work, but let's give it a shot. See what happens. Let's just get some solder onto here. There we go. Right. Pliers, because this is going to get a bit hot. Let's just see if we can. There we go. There we go then. How's that, people? Horribly crude, but that's worked. I still haven't a clue how we're going to mount this in the case. Where is the case? Just move some of this stuff out of the way quick, so we're just drowning in bits. The morning after a live stream, people, I come in here and it's just like, because Gertman hasn't seen the, there you are. Yeah, that's what I've got. I've just got a surplus of them. So it's like, but when we come to doing the final PCB design board. Bearing in mind, we're just prototyping at the moment, so we're just experimenting. Yeah, we definitely will have to look at something else. But yeah. TSRs are quite expensive, aren't they? I did use one of them in my Spectrum upgrade, so we have their place. I've got a ZX81. You may have seen the video on it. I've done it a while ago, and that's waiting for me to kind of get on and do the complete rebuild of that machine, which absolutely will be next year now, because I am snowed under with work and projects. I've got about a 4-year backlog here on Wi-Fi Shoot, so I'm not short of videos. So I need to cut this board in half in a minute, so I might just try and brute force snap it, but let's see now. So let's I need to leave enough on here for the voltage regulator to... Oh, sorry, I'm off camera. Let's see what I'm trying to do. Oh, this is going to be a tight fit, isn't it? I don't even know if that's going to... Okay. Bear with me. So, hey, there we go. Don't know why that drill struggled to get through. I couldn't cut it like that though, because I think it would have just seemed to shatter straight through. So that's now cut. So we've got a little bit of pad space there. So the moment of truth. And yeah, as for that ain't going to do what I thought it was going to do. So can we go any other way? The answer to that is yes, we can. It's a very tight fit, but we can. So, hang on. I might have to move this over a little bit, but yeah, that was not going to work. So, yeah, it's going to be tight, this. I just wonder if we can just move that over just a tad. It's just on sticky pads, so what is that hitting that's causing us the problems? Now our blooming board's popped out, hasn't it? Ah, dear. That is a tough one. I mean, it's a bit of a change of plan, but we could always shunt this back a little bit. It's not ideal, and then we might be able to get that sort of in there, which would give us a little bit of space if we bent the, yeah, okay. I mean, it is only on adhesive tape, so it's not. I might have to I'm going to have to retape that, unfortunately. But if we, it's not ideal. But if we went back a little bit, if I can't get it in there on this, then can I? Yeah, okay, that would work as a compromise. Don't know what people think, but if we sort of have that, can you see that all right? It's not ideal, but this whole prototype's been a bit unideal. I'm going to have to retape that. But it does mean we could shunt that over there. Bit of insulating tape or something just to hold that in. Okay. Right. If anyone's still with me on the stream, where are we? Oh, yeah, it's a fair few of you. Yeah. Great to have your company, by the way, for the evening. I appreciate this has been one of those videos. It's been a bit haphazard, and I'm making it up as I go along. Can you tell? It's just gone 10 o'clock. I want to get this done. You won't believe this. I've got a curfew, right? So Anna, my fiance, and you know, she is absolutely wonderful. She's even made me the cup of tea. So, but she's been in work all day. Our bedroom is like literally next door to this room where I work, and we kind of come to an agreement. I'm doing these live streams, and the sort of the cut-off point is 10:30 at night, which I think is fair enough, really. Plus that I've got to be up in the morning. It's 9 o'clock start for Stafford tomorrow morning. So let's put that in. And what I'm thinking of doing is, if we pop the regulator in, we can bend it over, you see. So we could do a bend, 90-degree bend like that, and do something like that. Yeah. So what I'll do is just grab a bit of blue tack just to hold that in place. Depends how much you're worried about the project setting on fire. I think we'll be all right. I honestly think we'll be all right. If it gets too hot, it gets too hot. But there's nothing really for it to burn other than itself. So, you know, I think we'll be all right. We're only putting 9 volts, 2 amps through it. It's not a huge amount. So if I was putting like 25 volts through this thing, I don't know what it's rated to. I think it's only rated 12 volts. But if we were doing something like that, yeah, fair enough. But I think we'll be all right. Assuming that comment was at me. How heavily I'm loading them. Well, it's only a Arduino and a Raspberry Pi. An old Raspberry Pi. So it's not going to be a huge amount. I mean, 2 amps should be more than sufficient. So, but we'll give it a test. You know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, that's kind of the point of prototyping. You know. So we'll find out what happens. There we go. I should really put a capacitor on, really, as at least a smoothing cap on this supply. we want to go, make sure we get the cap the right way around, which helps. That way, I think. By the way, if you don't know, electrolytic capacitors, I'll just show you this while we're here. Many of you, I'm sure, already know this, but they have a stripe. Oh, hang on, there we are. They have a stripe, so that's negative. Negative is polarized. They are polarized. You do have to have them the correct way around. It's not good to put caps in backwards, as people kept doing with BBC Micro power supplies when they recapped them. I never did that, by the way. Other people did. So long leg, positive, short leg, negative. So that can go kind of like that on there. He says, no, hang on. So wait, that might hit the board, because we've got to squeeze in a small space, haven't we? Yeah, we're already pushing it a bit. So we're gonna go like that. We could go there, I guess. It's not ideal. Oh, we could go there. I just want to put a smoothing cap on the circuit, really. So we could put it on the 9-volt side, so that wouldn't be too painful. So it's just the case that we'd ground on yeah, so we'll ground like that. And sometimes I'm just looking at the lead, you see, so we can push the lead over and just solder straight on. What's that, German? I was an electrical engineer in the power industry. Well, you know what you're talking about then. I'm not, so I am learning as I go along. I'm not a qualified engineer in anything. Can you tell? I was a media student. And I'm not making that up, I was. And now I'm not very proud about that now, but you know. I've got the shakes. Why have I got the shakes? Okay, that's on there. By the way, with these live streams, we won't always just be doing this project, especially in the new year. Assuming you want to carry on watching, I'll carry on doing them. In the new year, we'll do some other project work, and probably going to be, I'm thinking about doing a Christmas Eve, not up to midnight, you understand, but I'm thinking we might do a Christmas Eve special live stream, and I will probably be here, I've got nothing better to do, probably be here live on New Year's Eve again. So we will count in the new year here in the UK. But no, I'm thinking about things we do. I've got computers, projects we could do. I could do some train stuff on the live stream, but I don't know about that. We'll have to see. These for me have been a great way of just getting stuff done. You know, it's not the most fast and efficient way of doing things, obviously, because I'm, talking and we're going off topic, but that's fine. It's not your fault. It's no one's fault. I very much enjoyed, talking off topic about stuff. But it does mean I'm getting stuff done, like this build. So let's just trim the legs off that. So, but yeah, I got some plans. The original series 1 that was over on Twitch originally, Wi-Fi ship on Twitch, which hasn't been active since 2019 when I did those. I was doing gaming. It was still called 8 till 8, but we were doing like gaming. And I'm not really a gamer. And at that point, I kept having, stupid kids coming on going, "Hey, play Fortnite, play Fortnite." And I'm like, no, we're playing, this 1991 flight sim or something, which you might still do. So the games are fun. But problem with gaming is I'm then distracted gaming. I can't sort of stop and talk or read the comments. So it sort of swings around about. So I can hear the dog growling downstairs now. Oh, Bella, do be quiet. In the comments, I did live streams a while back. 0 watching. I was there doing exactly. I mean, I'm amazed we've got 7 or 8 on tonight. And by the way, good evening to you all, and thank you for joining me live. No, I was there. The worst one when I was a student was I was on some of the very. Did you hear the dog barking? I did some of the very first community radio, licensed FM community radio, and I had the most terrible radio shows. It was awful, absolutely awful at the time, and I don't think anyone listened to those in all honesty. And Dave Paul Jones says I do 50% electronics, 50% programming. I don't even want to think about what the ratio of what I do. 80% panicking. 20% procrastinating. This is wire wrap, by the way. Is that going to be all right to put 9 volts through? Or do I need a slightly heavier gauge? Fine for 5 volts. Would that be all right for 9 volts? And by the way, for anyone misheard me, I said procrastinating, okay? Just in case you heard something different. Right. Gertmon, well, I've got you on. Wire wrap, PCB wire. Is that going to be all right for 9 volts, or do I need a heavier gauge? I'll wait for his reply. Should be all right for 9 volts. I don't know. I just feel a bit uneasy because that's a very thin wire. I've got some like automotive cable somewhere. That's going to be too. That's going to be too much. When in doubt, ask the electrical engineer because I haven't a clue. Well, I can guess, but or anyone else for that matter that wants to chime in, who might know the answer. Problem is, there's like a half-minute delay between me asking it and the chat, so it's that awkward silence. Oh, here we are. Should be right. Depends on the amps. 2 amps. Only 2 amps. So you think we'll be all right? Twist a few together. Use the 2-point cables. Sorry, I was away. That's all right, Gertmon. Just in case you missed it, just asking 9 volts on PCB wire wrap. If it didn't close red, if I go wire. Thanks. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay. We've got 15 minutes to try and do something here, people. Right, do I need to put a thicker gauge on it? Oh, yeah, do you know what? I'm trying to think if I got a thicker gauge cable. Anyway, so I get one. Yeah, the question was, can I run 9 volts through PCB wire wrap cable? Will I be all right? 2 amps? Or is that going to be a little bit dodgy? I mean, 5 volts on this stuff's been fine. It's, most 3.3 volt or 5 volt TTL logic, should be fine. Oh God. I get the sneaky suspicion some of you aren't taking this seriously, you know. I'm just trying to see if I've got a bit of cable I can use. Do I have a bench power supply? I do have a bench power supply. It's right here. There you are, bench power supply. Oh, here we are. We see the cores in USB cables, which can take 3 amps. I think you're okay. Okay. Yeah. It's only 9 volts, 2 amps, so it should be all right. But yes, I do have a bench power supply. Now, that PCB I was looking for that had a barrel connector on it that I can't find. And the minute we go off, I will find the damn thing. Right. I was testing it, so I was running 5 volts through it into a breadboard. It's one of these that clip into the solderless breadboards. And I was testing this to make sure it was all right. And I thought I had 5 volts. And I didn't realise that the decimal point was in the wrong place. So I put 50 volts through it, which, needless to say, blew up the voltage regulator. So, yeah. But I do have a bench supply, but sometimes it's just like, I don't feel like it, you know. We did, when did I use that? Have we used it on the stream? Did we use it on the first one? No, we used the oscilloscope, didn't we? But yeah. 80. Do you know what, people? Let's try it. If I make a glowing light bulb, then we. I got to wire something in, so let's wire this in. So look away now if you're a much more qualified, better person than I am, and most of you probably do this far better than I do. I don't pretend for a second to be expert at this. I just do what I have to do to get going, what I need to get going with. So, right. So that's the ground. We want to go to 5 volts. Or sorry, not 5 volts. Let's get the voltage. So which way around is that? That's okay. Now, sometimes this works really well, and other times it goes terribly wrong for me. So we'll see how we do tonight. Yeah, 50 volts could mount a spell. I know it was not great. Put it that way. Put it that way. It was not a highlight moment. I put it. I'm surprised it coped as well as it did. In all honesty, but what can I say? I do make mistakes occasionally. Just happens. So. I'm hoping I can get away without needing to strip the wire. Which normally just makes a terrible mess. And I look an idiot, but for now. Where do we need to go? We need to go. We do need to go over there. Yep, that's fine then. It's not pretty, but it works. And then we need to run over to collector, which is the other side. So we need to run like, hang on. I will check all this probably off camera if we put voltage through, but yep. Like that. There we go. And let's just do a check. Yep, that's looking good. I am glancing at the chat, chaps, but or chapesses, or and chapesses, I should say. But I'm just trying to do this at the minute, so do excuse me if I'm being a bit quiet. So ground. Over to ground. Okay. Just check continuity on that. Oh, by the way, something I forgot to mention last week. Did anyone see the Agent's Digital Basement, the rebuild of the Apple clone computer that ended up in like three or four multi-hour parts? I have to hand it to. I mean, I don't know Adrian, obviously, but I have to hand it to him. His perseverance in getting that thing running, the faults it had, just down to being a clone, bad manufacturing and parts that just went wrong. My God, I mean, I just take my hat off to him. He did an amazing job with that. If you haven't seen that, just go on Adrian's Digital Basement channel, and it's the Apple II clone series. I think the keyboard rebuild was over on his channel too, but absolutely insane video, and really, really impressive. I don't know if I would have managed that, but yeah, you have watched it. Yeah, so wow. If you blow something up on live stream, you'll get more views. I know, it's a sad way of life, isn't it? I mean, this channel has just peaked at 5,000 subscribers, and thank you, by the way. It's taken 7 years, but that's because I'm not doing clickbait type, stuff. Plus the fact I kind of have more respect, I think, for my viewers and don't take anyone for granted. So it's not about lying or making, oh my God, look at this, you must watch to the end kind of stuff. It's this audience is more organic, and that's more useful for sponsors and people that know that the people watching, you people, are real and you're generally interested in this stuff. And I'd far rather have that. I'd far rather have a better quality of audience, which you people are watching either live or on the pre-record. And I really appreciate that, because then it means we can have great live chat conversations like this tonight. So we're all on the same level, which is far better than just having kind of like fake bots or people that kind of aren't interested. It's not the right audience. It has to be the right audience. So that's what I really love about the way this channel has progressed over time. And Gertmon is off to bed as you're up early. I'm up early as well, actually, so I need to be off in 5 minutes myself. But thank you for joining us, Gertmon, once again, and thank you for your advice. Greatly appreciated. I actually think, people, I've rather not finished. I think we're going to have to leave that there tonight, because it is getting on a little bit myself, and I need to test that to make sure I've got that the right way around. But I'll just show you what I've got. So we've got a barrel connector connected. We've got a smoothing cap, which is on the sort of live VCC side, so that would be 9-volt side smoothing cap. And we've gone from that, we've connected to the collector of the regulator, The regulator with the blue wire here, you can see, is now grounded, and that'll be 5 volts off there. So what I will need to do is put a pin header on here. Oh, have we got time to put a pin header on? Do you know what? We probably should just, I've started it, so we should probably finish what we started. I can't leave it hanging like that. So I've got this bag of pin header stuff. Bit of pin header. What's that? Let's just catch up on the chat. Martin says I only have 297 subs here. I think I'm doing well. Yeah, of course you're doing well. I mean, yeah. How long have you been running for? I mean, that was me for how many years? Like 4 years or something of just doing stuff and getting like no views or whatever. You just carry on because it's like I'm genuinely interested in it, and you know. I mean, yes, I know we got sponsors and things now, and that's been really helpful considering this has had to make up some of my income. Hence why I've only just started working at Harper Adams University now. I've been available, so I was, living through the hard times on the revenue from this channel. So, no, absolutely, there's no shame in that at all. It's very respectable. And Dave Paul Jones says I had to turn Adrian off after a while on his main channel as he edits it. To a long stream of talking without a breath. I've noticed that actually, now you mention it. Not good to listen while work. Yeah, do you know what? Now you mention it. I had noticed that, funnily enough. Is that edited or is that just him talking? But yeah, no, actually, now you mention it, I know exactly what you mean. Oh god, how are we going to do this? I think I'm going to hit problems here, but pin header. I've just stopped because I'm just thinking about because that's got to cramp itself, tuck underneath. If I put pin header on, I'm going to have wires coming up like that. That's going to hit the, yeah. We could always just use these pads on the side. Not put a header, I'll just cut a header up, but we could just do that, couldn't we? Be a bit crude and rubbish, but that would work. Let's put a bit of flux on, and then we could just take power off, or could we do? Yeah, well, actually, let's do. I've got an idea. Right, stick that like that. Like that, so they stick outwards, maybe. Well, if it doesn't work, I can always take them off, I guess. So this will be our 5 volts here. Oh, I bridged them. Ow, that's hot. That's hot. And we tin that there. Right. And then we use Let's use some yellow to distinguish it. This is our 5-volt line. And let's go. Let's go from there. There we go. I appreciate you can't see it that well. Can I? Let's try zoom. I've got a little bit of zoom on the camera, but not huge amounts. So, just catch up on the chat real quick. I often program while watching YouTube, so need some time to think. If talking info all the way through, it takes my concentration away. Well, there's no problem with that here, as I'm just umming and ahhing and don't know what I'm doing half the time, so it's hardly a flow. What voltage are you injecting into the regulator? We're using 9 volts, 2 amps, and we're taking 5 volts out. Which, this is either going to work or it's not, basically. I'm not going to test it live tonight, because we are literally 2 minutes past when I should have been off air, so I just want to get this done quick. Appreciate all you hanging around though. So that's 5 volts onto there. Yeah, only dropping 4 volts. So yeah, I think we'll be all right. In all honesty, with the heatsink. Look, if we're not. I'll just we'll deal with that another day. Appreciate all the feedback though. Obviously, it's not we're pulling 2 amps. It's not a huge amount of stuff. As I said, if one of these boards is doing that right with these tiny little surface mount regulators, I think we'll be all right. But if we're not, we're not, and it's my stupid fault if we're not. So a bit more flux. It's going to be really awkward because it's right next to the electrolytic. Will I be testing it? I will probably, being brutally honest, and I know I'm spoiling the fun a bit, but I will test it off air, but we'll see it next time, obviously. I might need to put some more solder on that, might help. Got to see if it's going to fit in the damn case. Yeah. There we go. Okay. There we go. Let's just test continuity on that. That's fine there, that's grounded. That's a bit dodgy. Okay. I'm taking this blue tack off it now. Okay, so it's not pretty, but there we go. We've got something built. Would you like some Rio board? I have a lot. Well, if you want to offer to send me something over, that would be always a... Hang on. My cable's come off there. That's always appreciated. Best thing to do, Dave, you want to drop me an email. It's in the... If you go to the info thing on the YouTube channel, it'll give you the address, but it's info@wifisheep.co.uk. Drop me an email, because that's the best way I can deal with that, and then we'll talk about, if you want to donate something like that, that would be really appreciated. My terrible soldering and wire wrap is now coming apart, people. Just give me a moment. Yeah, well, it is compact, Lee. We've got a small space, unfortunately, so I don't know if I'm going to regret it being so compact, but get on there. Let's see. Yeah, that's common ground. Okay. Not saying this won't all come apart, but probably blue tack. I think it's a bit greasy, but there we are. So, in theory, that goes in there. Yeah, 9 volts in. We have a smoothing capacitor, electrolytic. It then will go to the voltage regulator, 9 volts. We'll drop it to 5 volts. 5 volts will come out to here, and we go to here. And then we should have common ground of 5 volts on that piece there. I'm going to be really chicken and not test it here, because I know you're all going to be screaming at me, but we are like over time now anyway. But I've got to do it off camera, because I'm a chicken. And I don't want to blow all the lights out on the fuses. Like, saying that, we probably run on the battery. Dave said I can put a package together like Adrian gets and opens up on his... Yeah, well, I've done that, actually. I've had donations where people have sent stuff, and it doesn't happen that often. And some people are waiting for me to do some bits with the stuff they've sent me, and I am trying to catch up on all that. That's what I must do very shortly. But no, absolutely, Dave. That'd be really generous of you. If you want to sort that out, I'll give you the address and we'll sort that out, and I will absolutely, do that live on air. Or live on there, but in a video, or we'll definitely will do that. If people send me things, I will open them up on the channel, absolutely, and give credit. And some of the stuff people have sent me has been... Where's that one I saw? Is it here? I saw it earlier when I was rummaging. I can't remember who it was now. I'd have to look it up. But I was sent this ESP32 custom PCB kit and 3D printed piece frame for it, and that was sent by someone on the Instagram channel, which was really, really kind, and I intend to use that on a project because it fits an ESP32 board. That'll be next year now, but I've got so many projects and builds, actual computer builds I want to do, which is why I don't have a lot of time for trains, unfortunately. But has that gone a bit out of focus? Hang on. There we go. Right. I think, people, that's going to be it for tonight. So thank you so much. Just turn soldering iron off before I forget. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to be going on about this, but again, quick reminder, if I can find it. The Risco S mug Xmas Market show thingy. I'm going to be there on December, and he said October then, December the 9th. And he said the date's there. I've currently pinned it on X or Twitter. Bear in mind, actually, I was going to talk about that briefly. If Mr. Sir Lord Elon Musk Esquire decides that he's going to paywall the entire of X or Twitter, I'm not going to be doing that. So I will be leaving the platform at that point. Alternatively, at Wi-Fi Sheep on Threads, at Wi-Fi Sheep on Instagram, and I think at Wi-Fi Sheep on Facebook should work as well. So do go and join me on those alternative platforms. I'm also on Mastodon as well. So do go and join me on those alternative platforms just in case the former Twitter finally does go kaput or goes completely. If it goes completely payroll, I'm just not doing it. It's just not worth it. It's not worth spending the money, even if it's like £3. I'm not going to spend that money on that because there's money that could be spent better elsewhere. If you're watching me pre-record, then thanks so much for getting to the end of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Stafford Model Railway Show, which is tomorrow. Well, it's been today. It's going to be tomorrow as well. So that'll be the 24th. I'm going to be there for most of the day just as a visitor wandering around. So if you're in the Midlands and want to come and look at the Model Railway Show, that's a good one to go to. I'm not affiliated in any way with it. I'm just going to be there. And I will be back here, hopefully, same time, 8 o'clock next Saturday, all being well. If I'm not, you won't see a live stream notification go out on the channel. And also I'll be tweeting. If I'm not, I'll let people know, but I should plan to be here every Saturday. So thanks so much everybody for your company. It's been a good chat tonight. I really have enjoyed it, and hopefully we can get this computer together at some point, and then we'll move on to other things probably after Christmas. So that's it for me for tonight. Thanks so much for your company. Have a great evening. Good night.